All right, we're here with Faiz Haque, and we're discussing music, practicing, school, and certain kinds of music business in LA. So thanks for being here, Faiz, and doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Rob. I'm excited.
So first, let's go over your background. So where did you grow up?
I grew up out in Pleasanton, California. Lived there my entire life, just until recently after moving to LA for college. But yeah, I grew up there, went to school there. Just started taking lessons with you there over at Ingerman Bronze. Really great place to grow up. I think the schools there are good. The music programs there are pretty good. So I'm thankful to have grown up there. It's definitely like when I was growing up, I kind of didn't like the suburbs as much, and I wanted to live in the city. But in retrospect, I'm glad I lived there. So definitely a great place to grow up.
Awesome. When did you first get into music?
I mean, besides taking piano lessons when I was like really young, like 5 or 6, it was when I started playing the drums and started taking lessons with you, which was when I was, I think, 10. It was like before I went into like 5th grade, so I was around 10 years old, I think, 9 or 10.
Wow. And what were your musical influences growing up?
Growing up, I definitely listened to a lot of rock music. I remember, I think AC/DC and Bon Jovi were like the first two bands I ever like heard about or started listening to. So that was probably like, mid 2000s, and then got into more of the like alternative rock, was really into Blink 182, still am. That kind of pop punk era, and then obviously the hip hop was very popular back then. So back then when I was younger, definitely more of like the popular stuff. A lot of it was definitely influenced by like what my brother would listen to. And since then, it's really expanded greatly. I mean, since I started playing jazz when I was in like 7th grade, so around like 12 or 13, that kind of really just opened up like my musical listening catalog. And at this point, I really try to listen to everything, because I'm trying to work in the music industry. I write a music blog, and I really try to not be contained to one genre. I feel like music is really good because it's so different from all the other music that's out there. So I think the more variety of music you have, all of it just becomes better, in my opinion. But yeah, I definitely really gravitate towards like alternative rock, probably hip hop and jazz. 3 pretty different genres, but like those are probably my top 3 that I'm attracted to.
And when you were 10 years old, why did you pick the drums? What kind of attracted you to drums? Do you remember? Was there a recording or something that you picked? Because that's like something a little bit obscure, right? When you're growing up, it's like all of a sudden I'm playing piano, and then you go to drums.
Yeah, I think what it was my brother played guitar briefly. He took like guitar lessons over at Ingerman Bronze as well. And I think I was never one of, I know like all these drummers tell stories about like they grew up banging on the pots and pans, and it was always like they knew they were a drummer. That wasn't really it for me. It kind of came later. But I think before I started playing the drums, it was definitely, I started feeling, I guess, more just like rhythmic. I started understanding things. I would kind of like drum on my hands and stuff. So that, I think that was like the only indication of that. But really it was because like my brother started playing an instrument. So like obviously he's my older brother. I want to do what he does. And so after guitar, like the next thing I thought of was drums. So that's really what it was. But yeah, no, I'm super glad I stuck to it and chose that instrument.
Okay, and talk about you were involved in the school music program, right? You did symphonic band, concert band,
Yeah.
jazz band,
Yes.
marching
So
band.
I started actually in like elementary school, I guess, in 5th grade when they start the band the band program, and then I went to Hart Middle School, and I think he's retired now, but Mr. Aquilina, Dennis Aquilina, was the
He was
director there.
tough.
Yeah, he was tough, but I can definitely credit him with he was a large part of making me want to stick to music, just because it was like the first thing that I, because he was such a strict teacher, it felt real. So it felt like this was something that was important. It just felt good to be, a lot of people used to complain about him for being really strict, and he would always say like, "Oh, you guys are playing like college level pieces." And at the time I thought it was really cool, and now that I'm in college, I'm like, he was probably just saying that, or like, even if they were college pieces, like what people in college are playing is obviously much harder. But just that mentality that he instilled in his students, I think definitely like stuck with me, and made me want to continue music. Like I think that's the first time I started thinking about like music as a career. So that was cool. That was my first experience like playing in a jazz band. So that was super fun. Like my middle school jazz band was definitely like a really, I guess, formative time in my like drumming career. Um, and then in high school, I actually went for my first 2 years of high school. I went to Athenian, which was a small private school in Danville, and they didn't have nearly as they like their music program was much smaller than like my middle school's music program. So that was I was kind of bummed about that. I started playing in like the jazz combo there, and I had a great time there. The director was really great, but I ended up transferring to Foothill High School just for a number of reasons. I just didn't like the school, but a big part of it was the music program as well. I'd always wanted to be in like a marching band, and I'd known how great like the jazz band was at Foothill, and how they like go up to all these competitions and win all these awards, and that's kind of something that I had started looking forward to when I was in middle school, and then I kind of lost that opportunity. So I was really glad to be able to go back there for 2 years and have that experience. I think that helped me a lot as well. And then now I'm playing in like a jazz combos at USC, and doing a jazz studies minor, and so it's been great to take advantage of the world class faculty we have over there as well.
Talk about why you decided to go to private school in the beginning.
It wasn't really my choice. My parents kind of forced me into it. I guess they didn't think my brother had a very good experience in public school, and they were just scared that was going to happen to me. And I think I could tell it wasn't really for me from the beginning. My grades were actually much worse when I went to private school, so after I transferred to Foothill, I was kind of just arguing with my parents for 2 years, and then they finally allowed me to transfer. And I think they really realized, I think they got it after that, like, because I was really involved in the marching band and the drum line and the jazz band and all this stuff. I actually had something that I think I was interested in, and my grades also went way up. So I think it was for the best, but initially it was definitely something my parents had influenced on me.
So do you feel that music helped your learning process with other things in school? That you're talking about how your grades got better. There's a correlation with music, the music arts and learning, and it's more motivating. Do you feel that happened to you?
Yeah, I don't think I felt it. I don't think I felt it while I was in high school. I think, but I do think just being in that environment made me more comfortable, and it just made a lot of things easier for me, because I was like doing the things that I had been wanting to do for so long, and I was with more of my friends as well, and I think the types of classes I was taking were just more what I was like into. But I think after the fact, like in the last year or so, I've definitely noticed how having a music education helps you in other parts of life, because it's such a, it's the universal language. The fact that music just exists in nature, and music education is just a way to, I guess, put that into words and put that into notes and stuff. And when you learn about things like harmony, in music theory, it's really like universal to me, and it's a really transcendent like field of study. So I do think that people who are musicians just have a I think they just have like a more informed understanding of like the world and reality. So I think in that sense, I think it does help me understand some other things. But I mean, specifically in like class and helping with my grades, I wouldn't really know what had an effect on that. But I'm sure just being in that environment definitely helped.
Great. When you were practicing drums or practicing instruments, what was your practice routine, and then what is your current practice routine?
My practice routine would be pretty standard, I guess. A lot of the stuff that you taught me, a lot of the stuff that some other drum teachers I have had taught me. I think you instilled early on like a really like increased attention to detail, especially like in the way my hands work. So I think just I guess the actual exercises I do to warm up have changed over the years, but I think it's always been something that's I've thought was important, and I think I think having a lot of different I guess styles of warming up. I try to do something in like different in every different like meter. I try to do like a 16th note warm up, a triplet warm up, something with accents, and then something that's relevant to like a certain whatever I'm trying to perfect at the time. Whether it be like cleaning up my flams, like a flam exercise, or doing a learning a stroke technique like French grip, or like the Moeller technique with the throw and catch. I think all of that is really like it should be a holistic exercise or warm up routine before going into the set.
And then do you usually warm up and then go to the set, and then are you doing, or have you done like a certain amount of time, or have you done something where you go through a lesson plan and you don't really stick to a time format?
There's definitely like one or two exercises that I try to do every time, and then beyond that, I think. I mean, recently I've been studying with Peter Erskine, so he kind of he'll give me random like exercises. I don't know. I think I have like some over here. Like right recently he gave me just this sheet, and it's just a few different rhythms. So I'm always pretty receptive to like what people are doing, and what my like teachers are like giving me, and what I guess other drummers I know are doing. So I think it's a lot of like sharing that, and always looking at new stuff. Like these pages are really it's from the Belson book, I think. I'm not sure the full name, but it's cool because it's really it's like some really tricky rhythms. It'll be like a bar with like triplets and 16th notes at the same time, and it'll be like the middle. You have to play the middle triplet and then like the second 16th note, and it's really like when you listen to it, it sounds really bad, but you know that. Or it doesn't really sound very musical, but you know that since it's so rhythmically complex and specific, it's really like helping you out. So I don't know if that's relevant. I forgot the question.
Yeah, just about your practice routine, and like how you're breaking that up. And what I'm getting at usually with practicing is that, in my era we practiced like hours, and so it was like, how much time can we go? And we go for 8 hours. It'd be kind of that myth, I'd say, where you got to practice this many hours a day. And then the other thing that happened is later on, there was the quality of practicing. So it wasn't so much practicing that 8 hours, but what did I do in that 8 hours? Sometimes I wasted time. So it was more about like how you practice and like what you do, and having a routine is what I give my
Yeah.
students. Writing it down,
Hmm.
not even trying to do the whole routine for everything that I've assigned. It's more like doing a few things, but having some kind of quality of achieving rather
Yeah.
than trying to just kill yourself, which I used to do.
Yeah, I
My
think
back
I
would
think
hurt.
discipline, yeah, discipline is a big thing, and you have to know when what you're doing isn't helping you as much anymore. Like it's kind of like the law of diminishing returns or whatever in economics. Like you need to be well-rounded. You can't just if you just drill one thing and you're not getting it right, and you're tired, it's just you're not really helping anyone.
Right. And so, learning about doing things more on a steady basis, day to day, rather than practicing a whole bunch one day and not. I mean, that's an old things that people do. They practice 2 days and then don't practice for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I
It's
think that's definitely a little bit every day is definitely ideal, just the consistency.
consistency and achieving a few things rather than trying to overwhelm, or trying to practice so much one day and not really getting the mental or the physical attributes of studying over
Hmm.
time, or a little bit every day, and consistency. So
Right.
so good. Going to the next question. Who were and who are your current mentors?
I guess who you were, I guess my first drum teacher I had. I remember I studied at Stanford Jazz Camp for a little bit. I studied with some drummers over there. Um, I guess none of them really stuck with me too much. But Ndugu Chancellor was a really great drummer who I think instilled some stuff in me. Um, Michael Mitchell was another one of the drummers there. Um, and then more recently, I guess, I mean, throughout high school, I had some great band directors who would teach me in jazz band and stuff like that. So Eric Nishimori and Lydia Lim over at Foothill, they definitely, I think, helped me a lot. And I'm trying to think of other drummers. Um, and then right now, and then I had I forgot Ramiro Barrera was, I think, my orchestra or wind ensemble director, and he was also kind of like a really hard ass. He only taught at Foothill for like one year, and I don't know, everyone really hated him, but he definitely, you could tell that he was, really all about his craft. So I'm definitely thankful that I was able to be taught by him as well. And then recently at USC, I've had the pleasure of taking lessons with Peter Erskine. He's definitely got a really unique way of teaching, so I really appreciate that. He'll just kind of he's really great with words. He tells stories and he tells jokes and stuff like that. And obviously, he's an amazing drummer. And Aron Serfati, he's kind of like one of the Latin drummers at USC. So I've taken lessons with both of them, and that's been super great. And then David Arnay, he's kind of like my combo instructor at USC. He's also a great musician, like rhythm section guy. He can, bass, piano, guitar, drums. He can do all that, and he has a great understanding for jazz music as well. So those are definitely the main ones who had an impact on me.
Great. And I'm going to elaborate on some of that in a minute. Did you play in bands outside of school? Did you play in rock bands, or did you do gigs, concerts, things that are not related to school?
I never did until I'd say the later half of high school. It was never like a rock band, but it would be a jazz combo. We get. I think my mom hired us once. We played at like a country club once, and it was really just people from school. But we had kind of created our own combo, and then Recently, nothing too formal. I've always kind of jammed with friends here and there, but it is something I've always, wanted to do. Right now, I feel like I don't have. I wish I had more time to do that, but it's definitely something that I would love to do in the future in a more formal setting, but not too much, I guess. Not as much as I would have liked to, probably.
Okay. Did you play concerts or anything like that? Did you do recording sessions? Anything like that, either in school or outside of school?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we'd have all the school concerts throughout the year. We did, I think I did two recordings actually when I was over at Athenian with like the advanced combo over there. We actually got to go to Fantasy Studios in Berkeley and record a few songs there. So that was a great experience. That was like the first time I actually like was in a studio. One of the only times I guess I've been in like a real professional studio like that. And then I guess other than that, I remember recording a lot with you, but not so much. Recently, I've been kind of recording myself. I'm trying to get a more sophisticated, like professional recording setup. I've recently just been like recording like covers on my iPhone and just seeing, just because I've been bored. Obviously, there's not much to do recently, so I've been doing a lot of that. When I move into my new place, actually next week in LA, I'm definitely gonna try to work on like setting up my drums there and having like a proper recording setup so I can do those covers more like more sophisticated and have something that I can, upload somewhere and actually present. But other than that, no. I mean, I've recorded a couple, really just for practice purposes with Peter. But that's something recently I've been thinking. Like the last few months, I've been definitely wanting to set up my mic up my kit, get a camera, do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All you really need is a laptop, and there's a bunch of software. So in fact, there's some free, well, kind of sort of free-ish. There's a recording, what they call a DAW system, a digital
Yeah.
audio workstation.
Yeah, actually I have a like the full version of Logic.
Yeah, and the
Oh.
Logic is everybody uses that, and then iMovie and all those. If you're in the Mac world, everything's kind of there.
Yeah,
All
I
works
took
there.
I took like a music production class at college, and I got like all of the Apple apps, so it was like a student discount. So I got like Final Cut Pro, which is like the movie one, and I got Logic, and I got some other ones, but really Final Cut Pro and Logic are the only ones that I've used so far, and
Yeah,
they're great. They're super easy to use, and I've been able to. I mean, I haven't really obviously made any, I guess, music or professional movies, obviously, but it's definitely been like a helpful tool to just kind of dip my toe into that world. And I've never been like super interested in music production. I like obviously I got into it a little bit, but I've always been someone who I guess wants to play instruments more. But it's super fun to I guess mess around with that, see how it works. Mess around with some chords, stuff like that. Really, the possibilities are endless.
yeah. It's I feel that learning everything, like you said, being well-rounded is a good idea, because you will have to do something. You'll have to record something for something in your life that, like with me, I had all this stuff. I never thought I'd do it, and I had to. I was forced to, and I learned it, and that's including doing the web stuff. The recording I was already into, because I
Right.
built the studio, and I've been into that since I was younger, and got the different mediums from cassette recorder to what else did I have? I think I went to I think it was like recording. I think it was there was cassette and then another medium, then recording on the hard disk. When that came out,
Yeah.
Pro Tools came out, and but I just we did that, and when I started out, it was 2-inch tape, and it was very expensive, and
Right.
you had to play everything correctly the first time. If you made any mistakes, you couldn't fix it
Hmm.
like you can
Yeah,
with
you can't just cut one piece
digital
out.
stuff. You can't edit. So
Yeah.
it was a lot more pressure on you to do the parts correctly, and my friend who I grew up with, who was a very, he was very nitpicky and intricate and, he said detailed. Any little mistake he would point out, and he'd put you to a click track and say, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're not with the click here, you're not playing this right, you're not playing that right." So it was like, it was very, very, very
Yeah.
stressful and very challenging. But it did get you into learning about it. And then as time went on, we're able to record, at home. Everybody's doing that.
Hmm.
Now I do have a lot of students that are engineers too, and I can tell you that they've done worked on my CDs. But the other thing they've done is I've learned from them. So I've never taken really formal classes, but when I sit down with them and they're working with me, I learn everything they do, and it's helped me. So that's another thing, another point about the production side of music is there's so many ways to learn, with from other people and YouTube and different things that it's not too bad. And then once you start to get into it, you're going to use it for your advantage for a lot of different things.
Yeah, no, it's definitely super important to know all that stuff, and like you said, I think it's right now is the easiest time for as many people to know how to do. Like I know so many people who just like produce music on their laptops, so it's definitely a good time for that.
Yeah. So once you talk about what your classes you're taking right now, what your majors are, you're going to USC. You've been
Yeah,
there for a year now, right?
yeah, I'm actually been
Year.
there. I've only have one year left, so I'm gonna be a senior right now.
So you've been
Um,
there 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully I'll graduate in this coming May. But it's been great. I mean, it was like definitely like my top kind of dream school. I'm a business major, and I have two minors, one in music industry and one in jazz studies. I really went there, I think, because I knew it kind of had a music industry program, and I definitely wanted to be a part of that. I decided to keep the business major, I guess, just because I thought it was more versatile. I thought I could do more things with it if I ended up not wanting to work in music. But yeah, so I take business classes. I'm almost done with my business major. I've been taking classes like entrepreneurship, operations, stuff like that. But I definitely do enjoy like all my music classes more. I like the first 2 or 3 years of college. I definitely took as many like music oriented classes as I could, and I kind of put off a lot of my business classes until now. So definitely going to be not the not the easiest semester coming up. I got some major like classes I got to get out of the way for business, and then actually just last year I added a jazz studies minor as well because I was playing in one of the non-major jazz combos, and I started taking lessons with Peter a couple semesters ago as well. And then one of my teachers just he mentioned like you should enroll in the jazz studies minor because I was already doing like the two main requirements for it, which is taking lessons and playing in a combo. So I just had to take like a theory class, and then a couple other. I have to take like a couple, just like music history classes and stuff like that. But I'm super glad I added that jazz studies minor as well. I think that was one of the best decisions I made in college because um, I mean the faculty at Thornton, which is the music school here at USC, is really like they're some of the best. Like Bob Mincer is the jazz chair. Obviously Peter Erskine is like the main jazz drum guy. Um, Ron McCurdy is another drummer here. Ndugu was actually on the faculty before he passed away a couple years ago. Um, so it's been super great to take advantage of all the great musicians here. I wish I had kind of got into it early. I didn't actually get into playing until my sophomore year. My freshman year, I wasn't really involved in the jazz program at all. But it's been super fun. Like I took my first music theory class last semester. Remember, music theory was something I'd never actually taken a formal class of before, and obviously being a drummer, I don't think I learned music theory like as well as I should have. I guess in school, I had a chance to take it in high school, but it ended up not working because I was in drumline as well, and there was like an overlap between the AP music theory class and being in drumline. So I'm super glad that I took that class. I kind of it is like I always kind of knew music theory on a very basic level, but this really made it make sense for me. So it also inspired me to like start playing more. I got back into guitar recently. I've always kind of had a guitar laying around, so I try to apply like some of the things I learned in music theory there. And also, I guess, inspired me a little more to get like into I guess production, and learning like getting back familiar with like the keyboard and stuff like that. So I'm really glad I've been able to take advantage of that. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's been a pretty even balance of music classes and business classes, which is really great. I can tell that I'm definitely getting like a pretty well-rounded education for hopefully a career in the music industry.
That's really awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Peter Erskine. And I know you've kind of mentioned him with different things that you're doing. What is he like first as a person with you? Is he very strict, or is he funny? Is he
Yeah,
focused?
he's definitely like strict, but under a layer of like humor, which is great. I don't think he's as like I don't think he's as strict as people would assume, given his just like how revered he is, and how much of a successful drummer he is. He's really I think he's really like a person first. He really tries to be your friend first, and it's obvious with all of his students that he really takes an interest in like what they're doing, and what's best for them. Especially in like recently, we've been all online and stuff. One thing that he did, which I really appreciate, is for the last few. It ended like a couple weeks ago, but for like a month, I guess he was having on Zoom. We'd have like every Tuesday. He'd invite all the drummers, so it'd basically be like the entire drum studio at USC, and we just like hang out and talk about music, talk about jazz, talk about what everyone's doing. That was really great because I think I'm the only person who's not a music major who's like taking lessons. So in the Zoom, it would be like Peter, Aaron Sarfati, Ron McCurdy. Um, and those are, I guess, the three of the main drum teachers at USC, and then it'd be all the other drummers, and all of these other drummers are obviously like they're definitely like better than me because they're like jazz majors or like pop music majors, and this is what they do full time. So it was great to kind of be around those type of people. It definitely motivated me more, and like I honestly get jealous of seeing all the music majors. It made me wish I'd kind of just like tried harder in high school and gone that route, because I look at them and it's like this is all they have to do. They just go to music classes all day and they can practice as much as they want. And then for me, it's always kind of a trade-off. Like I don't have the opportunity to practice as much as they can because I've got these business classes to take and I've got these other things to do. But it's been really inspiring just to have him. He's been super welcoming of me, and he's kind of treated me like any of the other drummers. So that's been super great. As far as like actually teaching goes, he definitely has like a unique style of teaching. Like I said earlier, he has a really great I think he's really great with words. He makes like metaphors and analogies all the time, and like the the most I guess the best ways that he teaches me, or I feel like the lessons in which I learn the most are when he'll just, it's not like him playing something or telling me exactly how to play something that will be that will be helpful. He'll be talking, and he'll just make he'll be like, you have to play like this, or play like that. And it's more of like a feeling that he instills in you, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's what I have to apply on the set. So that's been really really great, really unique. And he's been, yeah, he really just cares about his students. He would invite us out to like his home studio. We didn't actually had a chance to go last semester because COVID happened and all of that. But yeah, he even said this semester, since no one's going to be on campus, he's going to try to invite kids out to his, like, all the lessons will be online for everyone. So he said he's going to try to invite, kids out to his home studio and have little recording sessions there, and have in person lessons, with masks and all of that. So I'm really grateful to have met him, and to have the opportunity to study with him for sure.
Is there specific things that you guys work on in the lessons? Does he give you examples of things, or do you, for example, do you guys work on reading? Do you guys work on hand technique? Do you guys work on feels,
I think
tunes?
he definitely works on all of that kind of stuff with all of his different students, depending on who it is and whatever the case is. But for me, I think it's been mostly feel kind of stuff, just because I started taking lessons with him after not really, I wasn't really playing too much. Like my first like year and a half of college, I wasn't really playing too much. I didn't have my drum set down there. I just kind of had a practice pad. And then it wasn't until my junior year that I kind of started, or I guess my sophomore year, that I started actually playing in some of the bands there. But he definitely helped me try to get back into that, like, that routine of like playing more often. He noted, I remember the first lesson I had with him, he would always record all of his students, and to see like some of the tendencies. And I guess I had this thing where like I would sway back and forth when I played, especially when I was like playing jazz. And he noticed that right away, and it was kind of keeping me out of time and stuff like that. So that was one thing that was like the first thing he noticed. And then we kind of worked on that for a couple lessons, just getting like my body straight, and trying to stay in time. So it'll be something new every lesson. But recently, I guess it's been learning different grooves. And but yeah, I'd say a lot of it is just feel stuff. And I think that's probably like just for me specifically, because I guess I'm not used to playing as much as a lot of his other students are. Like I don't have the opportunity to play like 2 hours every day and stuff like that. So he's definitely done a great job of like trying to get me back into that just discipline, routine, and having just like taking a more deliberate approach to the drum set, I think.
Well, awesome. It's kind of scratched my throat there. So the other thing that you were getting into was some media companies, and you're writing blogs, and
Yeah.
doing reviews, and maybe you could talk a little about like what you got involved with, because I know that you were writing when I met up with you. You said, I'm writing these articles for people, I'm reviewing these gigs or performances or CDs or something. Can you talk a little about your?
Yeah, so that actually started with a internship I was doing. It was the summer after my freshman year of college. I was at this record company up here in San Francisco, called Zatoon Records, and part of my internship was they had a blog on their website, and I would start writing blogs for them. Um, and it was super fun. Like it was great. Like working at, it was kind of a small boutique label, and they had like an in-house kind of studio, and they would just bring in local musicians. So I was able to meet a lot of cool people through that. But yeah, so that's where I started writing the blog. And then after I was done with the internship, one of the guys who worked there, Sam, he actually started his own company that was a music platform called Worldwide Waves, and it's a music blog. So basically, he asked me to come start it with him, and he asked me to write the blogs. And I was totally with it. It was exactly the kind of thing I was trying to do. Um, so that also kind of got me listening to all different types of music, because we try to a lot of the music blogs are like focused on one genre or one kind of particular scene, but we try to focus on different artists from all over the world in whatever kind of genre it may be. We also do art, and really our I guess mission statement is to just spotlight conscious music and art and create a more positive, like really a more positive global environment. Make like promote love and positivity, and just like try to raise people's consciousness through music and art. We started doing like news articles too, just about topics we think are interesting, and just things we want people to know that I guess aren't like the type of things that you wouldn't normally see in the news or wouldn't be like the mainstream story that people are talking about. But yeah, mostly I do the blog. It's been great. It's been a great tool to meet artists. USC I think has one of the strongest like community of artists who are students, and I think in the country. We have so many super talented artists, and I've been able to interact with like almost all of them through my blog. It's a great feeling when like I reach out to an artist who's like maybe a little smaller or just starting out, and then I'm able to write a blog for them, and they're able to that gives them confidence, and they'll post it around, and then people will see the blog, and like that kind of um, I guess that energy, just like small people coming up, feeding off each other. That's been great. But I've been able to meet so many incredible artists through that. Some of the artists at USC who I really admire are like Kyle Lux. He's a like pop R&B artist. Ashes to Amber is like an indie band coming up. Gus B is another band. Aoni is a really great pop R&B singer. She has like some of the best vocals I've ever heard. Um, so I'm really glad I have that this platform that I can connect with artists. It's really just an excuse to like meet artists and meet producers and throw shows. We started doing like a monthly live show series at a bar near campus. Obviously, we had to stop that, but I think we'd done like 5 months straight of like one show every month. That was really great. I've always kind of been into concert promotion, or not always, but I guess some of the music industry classes I've been taking got me into concert promotion, and that's definitely something I'm thinking about like as a career. But yeah, I learned a lot about putting on shows, promoting shows, really just building a brand. And it's been great because that's kind of been something that's forced me to learn a lot of other skills. So I'll also do like live concert reviews. So I'll take my camera, I'll shoot it. So that's it made me develop like some video editing skills. I've also gotten into graphic design. I designed some of our stuff for that. So it's really been it's taught me a lot about just how to build a brand and be self sufficient. And we've been able to connect and collaborate with some other brands, and mainly artists. We just like to spotlight artists um, that we like their music, and we want more people to know about them. So that's been super great. I hope definitely hope whatever I'm doing, whatever job I have, I'm definitely gonna keep doing this kind of as my own project, and hopefully we can keep growing and do bigger things with bigger artists. I started interviewing more artists recently too, so that's been a super great way to connect with them.
Wow, that is really incredible. And that all
Yeah, thank you.
took off, right? Because you guys started started a little company, and then it really
Yeah.
grew. That's
Yeah, it's definitely we're still pretty small, but we have a definitely a strong like local community of people, of artists who we can call upon and work with and promote, and they'll promote us, and really just building that musical environment, I guess.
wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
So when you did study with me, how did you benefit from going through my curriculum, and what do you recall helped you the most?
Well, I think early on, I think about this a lot. I think your emphasis on technique and just hands and keeping your fingers on the stick really helped me. I think you had a really good way of breaking things down, and into like whether it be like a complicated groove. You had a really good way of isolating each hand and explaining like how you would play this beat. I remember bringing like charts from school into you, or just like whatever I'd be trying to learn, and you really had a way of making it like so simple, and then I'd be playing it in like 2 minutes, and then I could just work up the speed or whatever it is. But I think the consistency that you have with your students, always, I think the warm up routine that we always would do was really great, and nice, like long. It would be like a 10 or 15 minute warm up. So that definitely like instilled a lot in me in terms of just like keeping your hands moving and stuff like that. And then when I started studying with you at your home studio, which was, I think, for most of the time I studied with you, the just the fact that you had a studio in there, and could record, and I could hear myself playing, that was really great too. I think just the professional approach you bring to giving lessons is not something that a lot of other drum teachers do. So I think that was a lot of it, and a lot of it was, I think, just being a well-rounded. Like I think we did like every single style of music, and it was never just one thing, and I think that helped me a lot. And I don't know, like I feel like I'm not like the best drummer. I'm not like some professional drummer, but I feel like some of the drummers I have met at USC, who are majors, and kind of take it more seriously, and are going to be professional touring drummers or whatever. I feel like a lot of times I actually have a more well-rounded, I guess, education or background, and they'll kind of be focused on, like, a lot of the pop drummers can't really play jazz drums, and a lot of the jazz drummers, I'm guessing, don't really play pop music as well. And I probably can't play pop or jazz like half as good as they do, but I feel like I have more of a well-rounded background in that, and I feel just as comfortable playing jazz as I do playing pop music. So I think that's something I can definitely thank you for as well.
Wow, that's really incredible. Thank you so much. One thing I will
Yeah.
tell you that I feel with you is you're very calm. Like, I know you're a quiet. When I used to,
Yeah, I think I
I was
always have
teaching,
been.
you're quiet, but you're very calm and mellow. You don't complain. You've got a very good attitude. So even though we talked, even like some of these teachers we mentioning through your upbringing, like I could tell you other people, and I've witnessed, I've sat in and doing some of the teaching, with kind of a, what do you call, like a coach. And I've seen it, and and like
Hmm.
you take something that could be a negative, but you turn it into a positive, and you go, oh, I learned from this guy. And that's the one thing that I think that a lot of people lack, of their ability to be calm and to take everything in, and to try to get along with people more, and have a good calm, like you said, the thing with your company of promoting like a community and peace, and
Hmm.
And I think that's very important because the other part of music, which not a lot of people talk about, is just getting along with people. You know,
Yeah.
having the thing where people like you as a person. And you know, I've grown up with the thing where everybody is like a badass. You know, they play their ass off, and that's the only reason why they like them or hire them. And I was always trying to be that person. But if you cannot get along with people, like the basic life skills which you have, then all that stuff means nothing because you know there's not a sense of making people feel good about themselves or having the thing where you're easy to work with. And you've probably heard this a million times, but somebody will hire somebody based on their you know, their personality rather than their playing. You know, if their playing is really great but they cannot, it's hard for them to actually get along with them, they usually don't get hired. And that's with tours and everything. You know, it's
Yeah.
half the fact that you play really well, and the other half is that you can hang. You know, you can hang and you can get along with people and people like you, and you know, you're going to be with somebody, you know, 24/7. And that's something like with Peter, you know, he did all these things with like crazy people, you know, like he was in Weather Report and, you know, a lot of egos and everything. And he played in Stan Kenton's band when he was like 18, and, you know, he's played with like everybody, you know, but one of the things that he has is that calmness and that ability to get along with people.
100%.
And he's
Yeah, I
very
definitely
professional.
it's you have to have both. I'd say
Right.
just as much your technical skill as your personality, because as you know, as skilled as you can be, it's you have to connect with the musicians you're playing with to actually have to have a good sound. I think that's definitely a prerequisite. It's such a personal, you know, art and craft, so it's that's definitely necessary,
Right.
especially for music.
Right. So that helps you already in life because you've already, you know, you've encountered where you can take the pressure, but you have a positive outlook on it, you know, and that's huge. I have both sides in my life. I have the not so positive and the positive. So I know the positive is, you know, how we get through things and how we experience life. And it's a lot better than the other, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
So a couple more things. So what do you look forward to in the future? What are your future plans?
That's a good question. I definitely am, you know, I'm working in music right now. I definitely plan to, you know, continue working in music after I graduate. I was really hoping to get an internship this summer. You know, all of the internships kind of fell through, especially in the music industry. But I've been more interested in kind of A&R and artist development recently. So I was hoping to get an internship like in A&R at like a record label or something like that. I've definitely been working more with you know, my friends who are artists, trying to, you know, help kind of manage them. You know, I manage them, but in like a not a formal like setting where I'm their manager. But that's definitely something I think I'm gonna get more into. I've been talking to some of my friends who are artists. So when I get back to LA, I'm definitely gonna, I think, start thinking about that more, getting into management. And then concert promotion, like I say like artist management / A&R and concert promotion are the two areas I want to work in mostly right now. Obviously no one's throwing concerts anymore, so that's definitely going to be a shift. I've already, you know, obviously this summer I wasn't able to get a job in the industry, and you know, we only have a few months. I only have a few months until I graduate. A lot of my friends who are seniors were trying to go into the music industry. You know, some of them like had jobs lined up that fell through. So I've definitely been thinking like maybe like in a year or so, like the music industry isn't going to be as ripe of a job market as I thought, you know, before COVID happened. but it's definitely something I want to be around. Obviously, I'm gonna keep developing my own brand with Worldwide Waves. We're definitely gonna, as soon as we can start throwing shows again, we're gonna start throwing shows again with some of the artists who we've been working with already. Um, but I don't know. I never really wanted to work in the same place for too long. Um, I'll definitely apply. I'm sure I'll apply to like all the different labels, all the different promotion companies, see what I can get. But I'm not. I guess recently I've been rethinking that. I've definitely been thinking more of just doing something on my own, being independent, being self sustainable, and working with artists who I guess close to me, who are friends, and helping develop their kind of musical sound and all that. And through the blog that I've been writing, I've also gotten more just really more interested in journalism as well. So I've always thought I wanted to like go into music and work in music, and I definitely will for at least a few years. I definitely want to keep throwing concerts. I want to do throw bigger concerts, book bigger people, and have that opportunity to spotlight some of the smaller artists who I work with as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting out there as soon as we can throw real concerts. Like I said, I'm the director of our concerts committee now, or one of the co-directors, and we're kind of in this unique situation where we have a whole year. Normally, we'd have a whole year of programming that we do. We throw 3 major concerts in the year. Now we obviously we can't do that. We're hoping maybe in the second semester of this year in March, we're hoping we can do an in-person show, but obviously that's contingent on a lot of things. Most likely, we'd need like a vaccine probably to before any gatherings of that level are happening, or at least a mass, like it'd have to get a lot better than it is right now. But it's been a good opportunity because we're in this unique position where now we have I guess, to pivot and do stuff that Conference Committee has never done before. So we're actually in the process of planning our Welcome Back concert, which is going to be completely virtual. So we booked an artist, and we're gonna shoot a concert with them, and then we're gonna premiere it for all of our students to watch. So this will be the first virtual concert that we've done as a Concerts Committee. So on that side, it's actually really exciting because we're doing something that we've never done before, and I think it's really just we're gonna have to just keep motivated and make sure that we don't lose any momentum. So when the next directors come in, and hopefully next year COVID is gone and people can throw concerts again, we want to make sure that we didn't lose anything in this time, and we're still being vigilant on creating the best experience we can for our students, and at the same time spotlighting some really great music. So I'm definitely really been interested in throwing concerts. I guess that's definitely what I'm trying to do most right now. But I mean, down the road, I don't even know. I've gotten really more interested in a lot of different things recently. I'm really interested in I got really interested in like anthropology because of some classes I took. A little bit more into just like politics, global events, stuff like that, and really thinking about the stories that don't get covered on the news and stuff like that. Just learning about anthropology and I've been reading a lot about like ancient civilizations and stuff like that, and really just uncovering like the whole story of mankind. So I've been thinking of working in music for like 5 or 10 years, and then maybe doing something else, because I don't know, at this point I feel like I could probably get bored of it at some point too. So I want to make sure I'm doing everything that I want to, really fulfill me. I've been recently the idea popped in my head of like going to journalism school or something, and I really don't want to go to grad school at all if I don't need to. But that's been something. I think this COVID thing kind of made me think like, okay, maybe like maybe working in music isn't the best like thing to do in COVID, especially like live music. And I've definitely I've started writing more articles too that aren't just about music. I wrote an article about like, UFOs recently because there's been a lot of like UFO disclosure recently from the government, and it's always a topic I've been very into. I've definitely, read more into UFOs than the average person. So, and we're in a really weird space in the world right now, and I think a lot of things are coming out, like secrets that people don't want, to people to know are coming out. It's a really volatile space right now, so I'm excited to see, I guess, where the world goes and how I can be a part of that. And I think really just getting information out to people is what I have a passion for now. And it's cool because music kind of brought me here, and because I started writing about music first, but I'm really just way more into journalism in general now, so that's definitely something that's in the back of my head of doing if music ever isn't something that I want to do. But I definitely have a lot of goals in the music industry as well. I definitely want to work with as many artists as I can, be a part of as many creative projects as I can, and just spotlight the artists who I know and the artists who I think other people should be listening to. I get really passionate about that. Like when I hear a new artist and I hear like a really great song, and especially when they're like relatively unknown, I get really excited because then I can write about this artist. I can throw shows with this artist and we can kind of grow together. So I'm definitely got a lot of stuff I still want to do in music before I can think of doing any of that other crazy stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's good to do everything, do a lot of different things you're passionate about, and exploring it. There's not one way to do things, so I think that's very healthy to explore these different things, and then somehow connect them all too. Not making them
Exactly.
like, oh, well, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's like everything can be connected.
Yeah, it is.
And like I was coming back to like how I grew up, we had tunnel vision. It was like we're going to do one thing, but in reality, we started doing a bunch of things. Like I never thought I'd do half the stuff I do now.
Right.
Including building a house from scratch and all these things that happened, right?
Yeah, that's also something I'd love to do.
Yeah, well,
build houses.
It wasn't something that I planned on or wanted to do. I was in a situation where I was sink or swim, and I was actually a bass player friend of mine that said you should do it this way, and I did, and and it turned out, and I was happy about that, but it was a lot of work, but I learned a lot, I learned a lot about things, and I'll say that I enjoy being like, even, figuring out how things work and fixing them. I don't know why, but that just gives me so much joy to do that. And I learned from YouTube videos or whatnot, but, it saves you money, but in the same time, I don't know what it is. It just gives me so much joy to figure it out, and then when I actually do it, and it's a lot of times, most of the time, it's pretty challenging. It's never anything like, oh, it's so easy. Few things, but mostly not.
Yeah, everything that's worth doing, I think, is challenging. I think that's how you know
right.
You're on the right track.
And the other thing is not giving up. So if something happens, and a lot of times. We have adversities, and like we're going through now, it's like, oh, we can't play, oh, we can't do this, but there's like, okay, I've done music my whole life, and that's all I've done, that's all I know. I've never had a real job, and I moved furniture one day when in Boston, with a bass player. That was it, and I go, I don't think I'll ever do this again, going up 4 flights of stairs with a couch.
Yeah,
but
awful.
You have to look at like, well, you can do these different things, and you have to move on to the next thing. It's not like what was done back then, what you used to do. If it's not happening now, there's other things you can do, and it's not over, so
yeah.
On the positive part of that is that, this whole thing that I'm doing now, which I was thinking about before, I'm just now really focused on it, and it was like, that's fine. I'm not bummed out. I don't think I want to play virtually. I'm not really something I'm interested in, but these other things, the teaching and the videos and the production, I'm really interested in that. And I'm really interested in making something with a very good, very, very concise and precise format, and
Yeah.
a curriculum. So to me, it's just been like, well, I'll just focus on this now. So, going into the last part of this interview, what advice could you give to young musicians that are looking to get into the music business?
Like the music industry, like business in general,
Anything,
or
yeah, any part of
specifically?
the music business, or playing, or
Um,
getting into what you're doing. What do you
yeah, I think it's definitely for people trying to work on the business side of music. I think it's definitely it's something that I had. This is something that I had to learn too, because like you said, I've always been kind of quiet and reserved and kind of kept to myself. But I think trying to get into the music industry definitely changed me a lot, because it forced me out of my comfort zone, because you really have to be your own advocate, because it's something that's such a creative thing. You really have to get out there, and no one's gonna there's no specific you know like obviously I'm like in a music industry program at school, but there's very few schools that have an actual degree for music industry. So I've been obviously lucky to have that and be around so many great people in the industry, both on the business side and like the music performance side. But it taught me, you definitely have to have thick skin. One thing a professor of mine would always say is that you have to fake it till you make it. Obviously, I think that's pretty common saying in like a lot of different things, but it's really true in music. You really have to put yourself out there. You have to be confident in yourself before anyone will take you seriously, because it's such a, I don't want to say like cutthroat industry, but it is like it's everyone for themselves, and I don't think that there's necessarily like, it's not one of those things where other people have to do bad for you to do good. Like, you just have to do good yourself. You have to make sure your like ideas are good, and you have to, a lot of it's about branding. It's a very creative industry, so you have to have like a specific brand. You have to have a specific, like, really a skill set that you provide, whether you're a musician or a manager or an A&R. You really have to you really just have to dive in, and like put yourself out there, and you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself. I think it's not a job where you can kind of just like go up the pipeline, like in whether if it's like software or like accounting, or it's not like something that has a strict structure where I get this job, and then if I do well enough I get this job, and then I can keep working my way up. You always have to be thinking creatively, and you always have to be, I guess, ahead of the trends, and you have to be really sure of yourself. And before you go in, you have to have an idea of, what vision do I have for music? What do I want the music industry to look like? And what skills do I have specifically that can help me get to that point? And it's like I said, like, I've developed a lot of skills. I've developed, whether it's like video editing, graphic design. I've never been someone who's like has a lot of hard skills. Like, for example, right now I'm the director of our concerts committee, and we have a creative team who are just some of the best artists who I've ever seen in terms of their graphics and animations, and that's not something I could ever do. But since I have kind of dipped my toe into graphic design, and I have made designs too, it allows me to manage people like that. And I never thought of myself as like a natural leader or anything, but I realized being a leader is not so much knowing how to tell people what to do. It's just having a a strong vision in your mind that you can just convey to people, and get people on board with. So that's definitely taught me a lot, in terms of just you really just have to get out of your shell, and it's not something that you can go into if you're like half-hearted about it. You can't just like be, oh, I'm gonna go work in the music industry and see what happens, I'll get a job. Like if you get a job and just do your job and you don't really go above and beyond, you're not gonna move up. And I think it's different than other industries in that way. Like you always have to be innovating, and you always have to have, you have to show your worth, and you have to give people a reason to keep you around. I think you can't just be another like piece in the system, and if you are, you'll just you won't really move up. You won't really do anything creative. You won't really do anything like that. So for me, the biggest thing has been just not being afraid to like meet people, and really just be like just be super nice to people, be unnecessarily nice to people, and they'll reciprocate it. So for me, it takes the form of helping artists and reaching out to artists who I like and saying, I'll write a blog for you, like come, I want to put you on a stage or whatever, I want to interview you, and just helping people as much as you can, because in this kind of industry, people, it's very personality based. It's very relationship based. I think more so than any other industry. So people remember like things you do for them, and they'll definitely reciprocate on that. So yeah, I guess that's all the advice I'd have for anyone trying to go into the music industry. I think you just have to be sure of yourself. That's the biggest thing. You have to be sure of yourself, and you have to be easily inspired, and you have to be. You have to know what's going on. You have to keep your ears to the street. You have to know like what's popular in music, but you also have to not give it too much weight, because if you're just focusing on what's popular, you're never going to innovate. You're never going to do anything different. So it's like that sweet spot in the middle of what's popular and what's just about to be popular, or what's popular and what a lot of people are doing. And sometimes it's really hard. It takes a lot of chance, but like sometimes you just you get it, you make something that resonates with people, and then that can make your whole career. It's one of those careers where you can really you can become famous overnight. It's people say it's kind of an exaggeration, but it's really not, if you think about like just what art is, and how easy it is to make something that inspires and speaks to so many people. But it's really hard. It happens, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, all I have to say about that. For musicians specifically, I think it's just like comes back to discipline. Honing in on your craft and your artistic vision. And I've never been someone I don't think I'm like a natural artist. I'm not really the best. Like I see people now who are, obviously I work with a lot of artists, I work with a lot of musicians, and I can tell now that, okay, I'm not meant to be a musician. Like I'm not meant to be a professional musician or a professional artist. Like this is what I do best, and I'm better at working with these people. And obviously, like I'm always going to play drums. It's always going to be, one of my favorite things to do. But like I don't think it's never something I'll be able to do professionally. It's always going to be something that's more of a hobby for me, because I see in my friends who are artists or musicians, I can see that drive in them that just makes them go and makes them creative, and makes them want to spend 12 hours a day working on their instrument. And as much as I would like to be that kind of person, I've just realized that I'm not that kind of person. I'm not as creative in that way, but I've kind of found my own like lane that I really enjoy, and I really can still be around music, and I still play music every day. And obviously that helps me. I think anyone working in the music industry, it's playing an instrument and just knowing music is helps you immensely, because you can kind of talk in that language to musicians. But definitely like going to college and being around so many artists and so many musicians, it made me realize like I'm not a musician. I'm not an artist. I mean, I am a musician, but I'm definitely not an artist. I'm not someone who's going to be a professional musician, and it feels good to know that, I guess, and it feels good to be able to work with other people who do have that skill set.
Well, it's great advice, Faiz. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this interview, and being willing to give up some time. I totally appreciate it.
Yeah, this was super fun. Thanks so much, Rob.
Yeah, stay safe out there, in LA, and we'll get through it. Probably just take some time, so we got to be patient.
Yeah, yeah, it's the biggest thing.
All right, Fez. So I'll see you. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
All right, talk to you soon. Thanks, Rob.
All right.
Have a great one. Bye.